It's time to be connected and enjoy our discovery about and find our road to the digital transformation and its foundation. We would like to start our webinar arranged jointly with Kyiv National Economic University and Huawei Ukraine, supported by Digital Transformation Institute. So let's start. I would like to introduce our speakers. Edwin Dinder, Chief Digital Transformation Officer, Enterprise Business Group, Huawei Technologies. Mr. Dinder is considered a blue ocean strategist for Huawei Enterprise and frequent speaker at events around the world. Adept on a range of subjects, from big data to safe and smart cities to enterprise solutions. Not a salesman, not a technologist, a tech strategist, accustomed to larger concept. We're very privileged to welcome today Edwin Dinder and Nadia Vassilieva. Nadia Vassilieva is founder of Digital Transformation Institute. We really hope that today's discussion will bring new deep insights to rediscover your career planning, your skill capacity building, and new ideas how to run business, how to be successful, and enjoy life in a digital world. Edwin Dinder, the floor is yours.
Well, that's quite an honor, and it's really my pleasure to be here. I will start sharing my screen because there are a few slides that I would like to share with you to facilitate the discussion and to set the stage, maybe. Let me see if I can hide the video so I can also see my full screen. The session today is called the Post-Pandemic Digital Journey. That seems as a next step, and it actually is not. It is just a next step in a journey that's already ongoing. And post-pandemic, I think the question that we can ask ourselves really is there a post-pandemic? Is it not always a pandemic? Is there not always something going on worldwide that keeps things in motion? Yes or no? I'd like to take you back to a year that is very important for many, many reasons. It was the year that was ramping up from the space war, so to speak, and who was first and who was last, and so on and so forth. Starting at the in the Soviet Union at that time, supported, as far as I understand, with great support from scientists and space scientists from Ukraine. Nevertheless, it ramped up to the year 1969, where this came to our attention. In 1969, this was the first man, as a result of this space age, the first man on the moon. At least that's what's been told. And this relates a little bit to interpretation, because clearly the person you're looking at cannot be the first man on the moon. This is the second man on the moon, because the first man on the moon turned around and took this picture when his colleague, to whom I also got my name from, which is Buzz Aldrin, Edwin Aldrin. So this is the second man on the moon, not the first man on the moon. Already an example in 1969 where something big was happening and where data interpretation comes in. This is me in 1969. This is on my first birthday. In 1969, I was born in May, but early 1969, I already learned how to walk. And that brought a huge set of data available to me and interpreted by me and applicable by me, but also to my family members. So what is the link between, in this epiphany year 1969 of putting people on the moon eventually, and my first birthday? It is, of course, data. The link is data, then and it is now. It is the usage of data. The usage of data that puts a man on the moon, but also the usage of data for my parents that now understood that their little boy, their firstborn, was able to stand up, move around the living room, and everything that was on the table had to move higher up and away from me, because already then my passion, as I said in the beginning, was picking up, which is my curiosity. It also sits with collection of data. I learned that the fire in the corner of the house really was hot. I learned that monitoring of data and storage of data was something that sits within memory, for example. And also for my family, it began with interpretation of data. What did I mean if I went somewhere, turn around and move the other way? How did they apply data? And how did they learn from that data? Not just me, but also my parents. So both in the big world and both in the family world, so to speak, the data part is tremendously important. And I think for the topic of today, data also sits there. Fast forward to today, this is not a strange screenshot. It shouldn't be. This is already around for a long, long time. Information, for example, of an aisle in a shop, a grocery store in this case, or a drugstore. But right now, this picture actually is a little different. This is not you in the shop holding this phone and retrieving information about products left and right of you and what is the discount on the products on your shopping list. This is now you perhaps at home. Because of the pandemic, we're in lockdown. So the interpretation and the presentation, but also the application of data becomes a little difficult and a little different. Maybe here virtually on your screen and via your screen, it's not you walking through the shop. It's a system that allows you to walk through this shop. And you can select still what's on your shopping list. You can order it online, it gets delivered to your front door. And right now, this is another form of interpretation and applying this data in a different way. It's the same data, but it's brought to you in the same way, and you're comprehending this in another way. Clive Humbley, a mathematician of the UK a couple of years ago, talked about data, talked about how data has become the new oil. And I tend to disagree with him. This PowerPoint presentation will be shared with you in PDF. And the link that you see here at the bottom of the screen goes to a publication that I've done last year, which is about data not being like oil, but data is more like water. So I'm not going to go into much detail, but it has everything to do with how the different steps of digitization, digitalization feeds into the journey that we are today part of, which is digital transformation. This is data from MIT in Massachusetts, US. It's a visualization of me. And the best way to explain this is that there are different steps to take on this road to digital transformation, which is supporting our digital journey. I often use the example of a library. In the first pocket where digitization sits is where perhaps your borrowing of a book in a library today physically is not possible because of a lockdown, for example. But digitally, you can borrow a book. For example, a PDF of a book. The making of a physical book into a PDF, or the transformation of a physical book, a paper book, into a digital book, a PDF, for example, or an EPUB file, is an example of digitization. It is the digitalization process of items, products. Instead of just one book and then creating a list of hundreds of thousands of PDFs in alphabetical orders or grouped in alphabetical order per writer, per genre, or what have you, digitalization is where the whole business model of a library, for example, becomes digitalized. The way you are able to upload, the way you're able to share, the way you're able to pay for it, the way you're able to read books, the way you're able to search perhaps with different search engine algorithms within the content of all these different books. You can ask a question to a search bar and it will look into paragraphs of different books and it will compile a list of different books for you to read, is an example of the second stage or a more advanced step, so to speak, on this digital journey. And the last part, which is where the complete industry of information sharing, information creation, information distribution, information storage, again, in the analogy of a library, the whole system of books creation, information creation, is the digital transformation. These are the steps that the digital journey usually goes by. And it's carried by a foundation. So what is supporting that? What is the lower layer, so to speak, where the pavement or where the tarmac or the asphalt, the road surface, so to speak, sits on? It sits with 3 items. The list of 3 is actually commonly known, to be honest. There are many examples of that. Veni, Vidi, Vici, from Caesar is a known 3-item component. It's not 5, it's not 2. Blood, Sweat and Tears from Winston Churchill. The Prime Minister of the UK, Tony Blair, in his election program, talked about education, education, education. So the list of 3 is quite dominant. For me, this foundation also links to 3 parts, which is 5G, cloud, and it says here Huawei AI, but it doesn't necessarily have to be AI from Huawei. It is the artificial intelligence component, the AI component. So let's go through them for a bit. And again, this PowerPoint will be shared with you in PDF, but the link on each page, for example, here, will guide you to additional information that gives more background on the information that I'm sharing. But the 5th generation of mobile networks, which is the generation where we are now, which is a stage in the development of a program for more intelligent mobile connectivity, mobile broadband connectivity, brings advances in cloud computing, allows services to sit on top of this mobile network. This is where I mentioned before that even though someone somewhere might be connected with a connection, it doesn't necessarily mean it is an intelligent connection, because this connection doesn't have a service yet. It doesn't know what it is there for. There is no application yet or an optimization process that understands this is a kid at home working with a smartphone or a computer or a tablet to do homework, or this is a teacher in a similar situation, but this is a teacher who tries to share knowledge and try to bring knowledge and try to educate and teach about it. 2 different scenarios: a kid learning, a teacher teaching. How does a system optimize that? The 5th generation of mobile networks does that automatically. So the digital transformation process for this, in the first step of a list of 3, creates a foundation. Cloud, so the integrating and scheduling of cloud services, for example, that sits on top of all these networks, and to integrate multiple cloud resources to work together and to optimize all these services, again, is another step, another stage, another element, so to speak, on and in this road for digital transportation, digital transformation. And transportation is not really me saying it wrong. It's just me saying it too early. Digital transformation and cloud transformation is also cloud transportation, information going back and forth in a more efficient way. I think the best way to explain this, for example, would be an application like WhatsApp, for example, or Facebook Messenger. If you're taking a picture now, for example, in WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or in other platforms, and you're uploading that, for example, to one of your friends, and you're sharing it with one of your friends or family members in, let's stay with WhatsApp in this case. You're trying to share information with one of your contacts, one of your friends in WhatsApp. You take a picture, you send a message about it or a little video, and you upload it. That takes a while. It takes a few seconds. It takes maybe a minute if it's a large video file or a picture. But once it is uploaded and you select it again and you try to share it with other groups in WhatsApp or with other family members who are not in group 1 but in group 2, so you try to forward this, that second step goes much, much faster. That is because it is transported in such a way that cloud has enabled it for. So it's about cloud transformation and also cloud-based transportation. It's information that transports easier. And AI is, I think everybody knows a bit what artificial intelligence is about and does. For me, it is not artificial, actually. AI to me doesn't mean artificial intelligence. For me, we have to rethink, specifically in the post-pandemic digital journey, about another way to apply intelligence. For me, for example, artificial intelligence is not artificial because there's nothing artificial about intelligence, regardless of where it comes from, whether it's a very smart or intelligent computing power system or brain power. Both are highly intelligent. So I think a better way of looking at it would be, in one of the publications that I've done about it, it's called the 5 A's of AI. I will show you my mouse on my screen so you can find it here. So if you would click here, you would go to that publication. It gives you information about how I view these 5 A's of AI, but just to shortly reiterate and highlight them, the first A of AI, I think, is about activating intelligence. This is where I think technology is almost like, or computing power or brain power of computers, intelligence in computers, AI, is almost like the brain of a child. It has so much potential but it's waiting for input. It's waiting to learn. It is me in 1969 as a 1-year-old learning the world more because my world got larger, because I could walk further instead of crawl or just sit on the couch and be afraid of falling off of it. So activating that intelligence. And then once we progress, once it progresses, it advances. So the second A would be advance intelligence. And then we're able to add a few things to it. The world of AI, the world of artificial intelligence, allows us to augment that intelligence. And it also allows us to apply it. So applied intelligence would be another one. And a bonus A, which is not on this slide, would be autonomous intelligence. This is where systems are working by themselves for themselves and informing us how they are doing. Almost like a child in school, a student in school, or a child to its parents, giving updates to the family at breakfast, for example. What have we done? What have we achieved? Coming back to the a bit of the answer that I wasn't able to fully provide to the question asked, our mission statement is bringing digital to every person, home, and organization. This is a very clear direction for the company for a long, long time. What it means is that indeed, we're not necessarily in it for the money. The money we make is, of course, to support us, is of course to carry the cost, but is also to invest. We are one of the few organizations worldwide that has a percentage, more than 15% on annual basis that we take from our global revenue. So the more revenue we have, the higher amount of money that would be. But the 15% 15% of the global revenue that we make is immediately invested back into providing and living up to the expectation that comes with a mission statement that says bringing digital to every home, person, and organization. Back to the session of now, back to the session of this moment, the post-pandemic digital journey. What about the post-pandemic digital journey? Well, it is a journey, and this journey continues, and I can only see it is continuing faster. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now I'm very privileged to introduce Nadia Vasilyeva, founder of the Digital Transformation Institute, Kyiv, Ukraine. Last year, Nadia worked as deputy to CEO of Air Force and Defense state-owned concern Ukroboronprom. She's independent director of supervisory board for state-owned company Prozoro Sales, as well as commercial bank Crédit Agricole. Nadia is an expert and evangelist in the area of IoT, blockchain, and big data across various industry sectors. Nadia is an independent director for several commercial companies in fintech, cybersecurity, and digital transformation. For 12 years, she held executive positions at Kyivstar, #1 telecom operator in Ukraine, for 3 years in the field of quality logistics as GM at Amway, and for 5 years as GM of the Black Sea region at Microsoft. Nadia led more than 100 employees with her expertise and leadership. And now Nadia Vasilyeva will share her understanding of digital transformation path and her observation what can be considered for each person, despite of geography, your occupation, and your future plans. So let's rediscover our path in the digital world. Nadia Vasilyeva.
Yeah, good morning to everybody. First of all, let me say a lot of thanks to all community of scientists who is currently on the line. And of course, big thanks to company Huawei who is organizing that and help us, to be together today. So I'm so privileged really to be the part of the scientist community who is really working hardly to move Ukraine to the digital economy stage. And from my point of view, this is so crucial for us really to take and enforce our current stage on the high level of the place which we already obtain, to move further to the be respected and really exciting global economy level as we have to be there. Today, I would like really to touch a couple of points. So, of course, I expect that we'll have some discussions, and we're expecting on your questions. I think that as soon as you will more understand what do we mean under digital economy, you understand that each of the person in Ukraine, not only in Ukraine, worldwide, currently has to be very much interested in that, because we are very much depending on our comfortability living, on our sureness of our future, on our, self-confidence from one side, but from another side, possibility to realize our best abilities, our best wishes, and our best internal capabilities in our real life. So in that case, of course, we have to understand first that for us, crucial it's the skills and competences which we have to obtain to be on a very competitive position and to be to play the active role in the digital economy from one side. From another side, it is better to understand what is going on, especially in the post-pandemic world, which we are now, and really to drive that changes together with the opinion leaders and not to be like just a passive even not influencer, but passive participant of that changes and really drive that changes in the way which is passionate by us and which is interesting for us. So in that case, of course, we have to understand what is going on and how it can be impacted on us, or how we can impact it on it or influence on it. And the third, in that case, I would like to underline that some points which already Mr. Dinder mentioned regarding the trends, understanding, regarding, probably understanding of how that biggest trends attaching to us, and really to feel our internal passion of our roles within that. It is really crucial for us to live in a more comfortable way in a new world. First, I would like really to ask Alina if it is possible to share the summary of the research, because we would like to engage somehow you into the research which Huawei did together with Arthur de Little. Do I need to share that, or you can share
Yes,
that?
please share.
Okay. So in the case of, just give me one minute. Share the screen. Yeah, it is here. Sure. Can you see my screen? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for saying that. So, of course, the digital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you may continue, and later I would kindly ask all participants to ask your questions in the chat, because each slide appeals to our action plan. So, and we hope to get to have more questions in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, so we really would like to not only just, to share with you some information, but also to engage you into the discussion. Why? So there are two reasons. From one reason, that's the biggest issue which I mentioned for you, that in post-pandemic world, as we understand, we couldn't live without, digital transforming of our current way of living, of our current way of doing business, of our current, policies if you are participating in the state management, and that's the first issue. So we are changing because of external factors that changed us. From another side, as we have here a lot of people with economical background and who is studying now in that area, I would like really to engage you into the discussion of macroeconomy, which is currently is most, I think, passionate and most dynamic word where you can currently be engaged and not only be, the passive, supervisor, but you also can be the active player in that changes rules, laws, and also the new way of thinking and probably even new methodology. I just will mention a couple of thoughts from my previous experience. Alina already mentioned a lot of from my business experience, but I also started as the economist, and I'm a PhD in economy. And when I started macroeconomy, it was not very interesting because that was after Soviet Union period of time. It was very political oriented, so we couldn't understand as a student how we can impact on that. So we just learned a lot of economic laws, and we didn't understand, okay, how me as a small student can participate in that big global, macroeconomy to influence on the world and to influence and impact it on the state economy policies. Currently, we have a completely new way, and currently we have a completely new situation because majority of people who is currently doing the policy, who is currently owner of the business, who is currently ruling changes, they really don't yet understand clearly what does mean digital economy and how they can impact it in the right way. There are no right and wrong ways. So currently everything is building, everything is developing, and you can participate in that developing. So that's why my role today is also to engage you into that changes and to make you passionate about that macroeconomy new stages of developing, and probably it will be interesting for you also to be the part of that researchers and researchers community. So moving further, first of all, would like to mention a couple of words about the Huawei and Arthur D. Little. That's a consulting company who help Huawei to do that great research. I would like to underline that Huawei company did a lot of interesting research methodology policies, not only for themselves and not only for China, but also for worldwide treasury of the new things, thoughts, and the methodologies of new digital economy. In that case, we can learn a little bit the history of Huawei, which is coming from the very high competitive world. So Huawei, when they started, it was a very small companies which didn't predict to be the number one in the world, especially in the very high technical, high-tech world. And of course, the biggest player didn't expect to have that big competitor among them. So in that case, Huawei began as the very high, not aggressive wolf in the fierce competition world. And of course, they have to start in a very strange and tough market, because on the very developed market, it was very hard to start their business. And in that case, they collect a lot of experience how they drive different economies, on the highest level using their technologies. Currently, of course, you can see the Huawei in the biggest market in the world, but some years ago, even some decades ago, you couldn't see them on the biggest countries, on the biggest countries on the map. So in that case, you can learn a little bit the history of that company to understand why they have rights, to talk about economy on the high level, to set up a lot of research and provide a lot of knowledge which they take from inside and share that with us. Coming back to the research with the Arthur D. Little, that's a very also respected company in the world. So they are specialists in the building value chain and understanding and explaining value chain for the biggest company in the world. I would like also mention that Arthur D. Little worked with the Kyivstar some decades ago, also to help them to build their the value chains. And in that case, analyzing that, Huawei understand together with Arthur D. Little that all type of economies could be spread on a different different models, like archetypes, which is aligned with the level of development currently in that countries. In that case, you can see the source of the full research, which you can download it and looking through later in details. But shortly, I would like to underline that 7 main digital economy archetypes around the world is currently mapped on 200 plus countries. And we can see that if we are looking on the right side of that map, that's all 7 names of that archetypes. And what is the proud for Ukraine? I think that we are occupied very interesting position. We are not on the basic level of the digital economy currently. We are on the level of the type which named service powerhouse. Later on, I will explain a little bit more in details what does it mean. But in reality, it is very interesting, actually, results of our dual direction policies, what we have in the country. From one side, our government would like to reinvest and reinvent, our traditional industries, the productions, the agricultural and others. From another side, our private business and especially IT, ICT business are developing in a completely different way, and they try to provide a lot of services. And thanks to that high quality services, Ukraine became like a very big player in the global value chain, which helps us be visible, be respected, and be the part of that global value chain. You can see a lot of countries here, but who is in our cluster, we will see a little bit later. From the overall archetypes description, I can say that that value chain consists of like 4 biggest parts. So the starting point, we can say that's a technology design and product development. Of course, majority of countries would like to be in that product development, but for that, usually you need to have a big investment, first of all, so big infrastructure, very modern infrastructure, a very dynamic infrastructure. And of course, the majority of population has to have quite a high skilled majority, or have to have the highest education in the specific digital skills and competence. And we can summarize that the majority of that countries have a really like a digital inclusion itself. So we can talk about that a little bit later. Shortly, I just would like to say that some of that countries are discussing that the internet, for example, it has to be like a basic need for the people, and it cannot be like a paid service. It has to be like a free of charge service, which can be accessible for any type of or any group of society which currently is living in the country, to really to be the active part of the digital economy. So the second group of countries are sitting in production area. Of course, in that production area, we can see the two biggest groups. So one group is mainly working with the hardware background or hardware part. It's like ICT manufacturing. They, in majority cases, they have a labor surplus and low cost, and that's why they are quite competitive from the cost side. And another group, it's a service powerhouse where we are sitting. The majority of that countries are developing software, content, service delivery, providing, and of course they are leveraging surplus of skilled resources. And I think we have to be very proud of that, because to be there very competitive in manufacturing because of low cost and labor surplus, it's a nice part, but that's a temporary solution, of course, because majority of population would like to have each year higher and higher salary. And we can see the history of China, where at the beginning that country was on the level of really low cost production, but currently it's quite expensive from the production side countries. But of course they are still occupied at places because they do very efficient production. So in that case, of course, the cost optimization provided by that companies and gave us very quality product on that level now. The third group countries, it's like trade in the value chain, mainly organized under that the business hub type of the ICT or digital economy archetype. In that case, the business hub is providing the trading business center for a region. They also can providing quite high quality education, attracting talented and companies from different locations. So usually that's a center of some region, and they are providing some kind of preferences, you know, for the companies in the certain area, and especially in the digital economy area. And the last part of value chain, that's also, of course, consumption. From the consumption point of view, we can see that there are two groups. One is ICT patron, another is ICT notice. So information telecommunication patron, it's mainly high in usage and consumption, but they don't have a very big contribution to ICT value creation. The ICT notice, it's like just a beginner in ICT adoption and in value creation, so they just started. In that case, you can understand that we are already, as Ukraine, on a very good position, very great achievement, what we have today. And that situation, of course, from one side is proud to us, but from another side, it gives to all our economy a big red flag that we have a not very balancing, you know, industry impacting on the final GDP level, and some of our industry are still in the industrial type of economy, and just not big level of industries are in the new digital economy, but still we are doing great and coming to the new places. From the positive side, I would like to say that majority of you, especially if you are studying in the universities now, understand that it's very popular in Ukraine currently to occupy, you know, any kind of IT, ICT knowledge, skills, and even if it is tough, because I know that the people with the high, you know, income families, though, so they are not pretending to go to that occupation, but still that really the skills and competence which they obtain was the another occupation which they are taking in their studying period of time. Also, I would like to mention the pace of digitalization increased slightly, but before the COVID part, but after COVID part, it's accelerating changes a lot. It's also from the point of service powerhouse, we can add that archetype have a very specific detailed description. And in that case, in addition to that, the characteristic that countries in that archetypes are leading in developing of software, content, and service delivery, they are also have a quite big portion of the GDP in doing that, you know, ICT industries part in participating in that. Country have a very strong surplus of resource trained in ICT skills, which is not very easy, you know, for a majority of countries and for the population of other countries. For Ukraine, it's not a very big issue, but still, so the quality of that skills are constantly developing. So it means that we have not just a like a secondary education or high education in that ICT skills. We are constantly developing. We have a lot of certification courses. We have a lot of you know, short-term knowledge-based courses, which is constantly leveraging or helping us to obtain and be on the top of the competence level in the world. Some countries in that list lower end can be part of process outsourced. So we see that a lot of startups are providing not only IT outsourced services, but also they are providing a lot of, for example, creative services, media services. So we do a lot of work with the call center support services. So we have a lot of interesting startups which is supporting, for example, internationally gaming companies or internationally software companies from the call center side to support their developers, their customers to be their competitive or to be their active customers for that companies. Also, we has a favorable demographics that support building a formidable position in part of ICT service domain. Also, from the point of competitiveness, we have a possibility to maintain low cost of delivery service, and that allows us exploiting services globally. And with the fierce competition of other countries, we still are very competitive, and we are developing that very good further. Technology of innovation effort really relative low compared to innovative hub and efficiently pursue market types. Either due to the lack of significant skills, so instill the ICT ecosystem, even underdeveloped ICT ecosystem are somehow, impacting on our further developing of other industries with the internal impacting of our ICT. So what I mean in the last point is that if we are comparing, our innovative companies with our traditional companies, so we can see a very big gap, between the infrastructure developing of that, the skill set which we have in that case. And from one side, it's probably a big negative side of the economy that we have a very big portion of that economy which has to be upgraded or digitally transformed. But from another side, it's a big opportunity for us because we already have a very high level of amortization and depreciation of cost, capex is cost, and in that case we can reinvent or renovate or invest into the innovation of that companies, not through the traditional way, but through the digital way. So we can see that in our company, in our country, we have, in our group, we have not only Ukraine, we have also Ireland and Philippines, and that two countries are very great, neighbor in that group. Ireland, for example, currently working and leading a lot of with the 3D developing with AI. Philippines are also doing a lot with the data analytics and the data scientists. And Ukraine is very much try to occupy a lot of that direction. So, of course, for Ukraine, the challenge is infrastructure, but still from the point of software, content, and service delivery, we are on the very high level. Just to summarize and do not be a very long from my story or from my presentation, I just would like to underline some points from the slides. So, of course, as a service powerhouse, we have a significant presence of large outsourced firms, majority of them, and that kind of companies like EPAM, Cyclum, the Luxoft, and others, which probably is very well known by you. From one side, it's very tough to work in that companies because it's a very tough structure, very high productivity level. But from another side, majority of students prefer to start working there because it helps you to be very organized, productive, and focused in your future career, because it helps a lot to understand how the international workforce is working, in which speed, in which requirement for the quality, which tools and instruments they used for their efficiency. And it's a really good school, for any kind of people, not only for students, of course, also for the mature people. And I know that people who is perhaps some period of time, even 6 months worked in that companies. So they are really very focused oriented and very, target oriented, goal oriented from that point of view. And they're usually very high quality or very, how to say, popular, employees for any kind of company, not only for IT and innovations, but also for the traditional companies. But we knows not only majority of people knows in Ukraine outsourcing companies who is doing the software, but we also do a lot of, as I mentioned already, the call center, the data processing. We are doing a lot of just the tech support for some companies, international big companies, even FMCG or car companies or others. Also, we do a lot of engineering part, and working last year with the engineers and with the companies who is servicing engineers. I would like to say that engineering, research, and design part also are developed in Ukraine a lot, and we are providing now a lot of to international scientific community some kind of results, some kind of data analytical summary, just analysis provisioning, testing analysis, and in majority of cases we are very well in providing the prototyping in the startups world. So in that case, of course, all of that, I mean, BPO, IT services, engineering, research, and design are impacting very positively on our economy, and currently our ICT services export contribution to GDP is quite high, so we are in 8 to 10% of the share. We also export value range, so, and service employment more than 5% currently in that area, and we can say that the global call center are have a preferences or have to be in Ukraine, to have Ukraine as their core global call center place. So all of that really give us the possibility to be proud, to be excited what kind of level Ukraine already achieved, and really to share that also with our friends and all kind of business partners among the world, because thanks to the R2 the Little Huawei, we can have a summary of the great analysis and great research where we see the objective results where Ukraine now compared to other countries from the point of digital economy. Just overall of the generic strategic direction and focus, I would like to say that really what we see as the most privileged level where we now, that's of course done a lot by the private sector, was the slightly impact from the current government, I would like to say, from that side, because of course was the new Ministry of Digital Transformation Economy we are developing with the service for not only high-skilled population, but also from the ordinary people. And the role of government currently are very important really to increase or to installed, that tech inclusion, where everybody in any place of Ukraine can have access to the internet, can be the part of digital economy, can get an access to the new digital knowledge free of charge, as for example, DIA, platform DIA, which currently have a lot of, the small, like they name it teleserials, so TV like spots, for 4 minutes or 5 minutes, where everybody in Ukraine can just in Ukrainian language learn basic skills, how they have, not only basics actually, there are a lot of different levels in that case, and they have to understand not only, how to use the internet and social networks, social media networks, for example, but also what does it mean cybersecurity, how to be active from one side, but from another side, how to be careful with their data and personal data in the internet world. Also, there are a lot of principles, rules, new etiquette, like we name it, especially in the COVID time, within the internet and social media. And also I think the digital economy, and especially in the area where we now service powerhouse, allows us to understand how to compete and how to survive from the business side in a highly competition among providers of communication infrastructure in a more partnership way. And that partnership way is not very common for Ukraine, but very common for digital economy itself. Because to be only one self-player, like traditionally in Ukraine, vertical integrated holdings, you are not achieve a lot, because any kind of idea with what you, or any kind of service which you provide in the digital economy have to be integrated with others. So have to be connected, have to be how to say, realized through others, and to be just a provider itself without any sharing your infrastructure, sharing your knowledge, sharing your content, sharing your partners would be very limited and would not be interesting for the majority of users and for majority of customers and also the participants of that market. So that helps us really to develop our knowledge and our capability, and also change our mindset from to be, you know, fierce competitive to build our own like hierarchy into the partnership world, and to be really to build the competition world instead of competitive and competitive world. From the point of policies and what we think has to be impacting a lot on the further developing of our current position in the digital economy, we think that very important is to help private sector to get more ICT skills quicker, to change the higher education, really to be prepared for the new challenges which we have in front. Also to help private sector together with the government or state sector innovate and integrate or deploy, you know, the digital infrastructure. And all of that, of course, can be attractive for investors and can, you know, engaged a lot of not only international investors, which we usually see very actively, but also the internal investors to be the active part of that digital economy. In that case, we are talking about developing of ecosystem, which, as previously I mentioned a lot regarding partnership, has to be built on the partnership relationship. And of course, that all have to finalize not only with the digital policies, but also other national and industry policies, which has to be clear, you know, underline on methodology, how the traditional industry have to move to the new digital economy world. From the ecosystem resources and capabilities, I just would like to say that in the research which was done by Huawei and Arthur de Little, it is very clearly summarized what has to be done into the direction of moving further and moving to the more dynamic world in the digital economy side, and especially from the point of not just how to build that, not what kind of policies has to be built, but how they can build, or what kind of questions have to be answered to really be more relevant for the digital economy than only for the industrial one. And all of them are split by the three groups of direction. It's of course the process and capabilities, it's like a financial investor support, and also the service competitiveness, because all of that three levels has to be drive on the national level, and of course that's a macroeconomical factors which can give us the stability and for the further growth and for the further active development. Just to say some point for the capabilities, of course, crucial is the skills, and what we can see in the digital economy world that in post-pandemic so within the pandemic, so we also experienced a lot of issue which was just not did in a proper way in previous period of time before the pandemic. So when we had to move to work outside and to work from home, we saw all kind of complexity and all kind of issues which we had not only with infrastructures but also with our skills and knowledge, with all our capabilities, how we can be the part and active participants of that site. So that gives to all countries, not only just our government, but also the majority of international society, understanding that it has to be much more bigger engagement of government policies and also the private institution into obtain and improve the quality of relevant ICT skills, to improve quality of service provisioning, to improve the positioning of the country in the particular digital economy, worldwide society, and also from the security side. So to understand better the cybersecurity issue and to provide the clear background for the people to understand what kind of data they can share, what not, and how to protect themselves, and how the administrative structure have to detect and respond to emergency. Also, what the very interesting part, which I will not now share with you, but that's a huge part of that research, was spread for the analysis of particular industries. So what we see within the research analysis that, of course, to do the conductive, not only telecom infrastructure policies, or to build the right infrastructure really for society, so even if the service powerhouse type of economy, so we have to enable a lot of regulatory regimes connecting with, first of all, the type of digital services and applications, what we have, the connectivity and transportation, or so just the level of speed, quality of transfer of the data, the algorithm of security, and so on, storage and processing, and a lot of other things. So in the research, you can see how the tax regime can be impacting on the further developing of, for example, user devices, or how the robust data have to be protected, and how we can measure what the level of protection we have, what kind of speed the data we have on average, and why the 5G is so important to further develop the partnership and ecosystem in Ukraine especially, and in type of service powerhouse digital economy archetype. So one more time, would like just to mention and remind you regarding the source of research. Of course, I would be happy, to answer your questions in that case if you have now. But if you are really interested in the further digital economy development and understand how we can do the modeling of the digital economy and building the forecast of the next next archetype which Ukraine can obtain. So you can read in more details that very interesting and very grounded research what we have now. So any questions from my side?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's time for our panel discussion. I would like to invite Edwin Dinder and Nadia Vasilyeva for a short panel discussion, and then we'll open the Q&A session. So really, post-pandemic digital journey, it's our topic today. And what makes any journey successful? What do you think, Edwin?
Well, like every journey, also a digital journey starts with a first step. So what makes it successful? not so much to decide that a first step has to be taken or what should be the first step, but the fact that you're actually taking it, or not you, but the fact that the first step is intentionally being taken. And this, of course, comes forth out of a group of minds that are sharing the information that sits within these minds and that are coming to a mutual understanding as to mapping out the travel guide, so to speak, for what this digital journey is about and where it should lead to, or what stages it should pass. So I'd say it's the first step, taking the first step, actually taking the first step.
Nadia?
Yeah, from my point of view, I'm just looking through some questions which we have in the chart, and I fully agree with one of the questions from Denisova Olga, that's about which of the digital economy archetypes should be the target for Ukraine. And I think the first step has to be the target, where we'd like to go. And we have to have a clear vision where we plan to be in case of what kind of skills and background we have.
What can be a compass for this journey in a digital world? Edwin?
Well, it depends a bit on the direction it takes. Of course, it depends also a bit on the indicators that are being applied along the way. But most predominantly, I would say it allows for each program and each initiative that is being applied in or on this journey or alongside of this journey to help move things higher up the value chain in a very much shorter time. I often reflect upon technology in a following term. I honestly believe, and I really think, that technology should only be there to help us do better what we already do best. So what is the road to digital transformation, or what is digital transformation able to achieve? It is clearly able to achieve that we're able to do better what we already do best. And without technology, I don't think we are, or we're not able. That also means that if there is technology that doesn't do that, so if there is technology that people are thinking about implementing and does not help us do better what we already do best, then I'm also a strong believer and advocate of forgetting that technology and skipping it. Because if it is not helping us do better what we already do best, it's probably not good technology anyway.
And Nadia, do you enjoy your digital journey, and what is your compass?
I think that yes, we need to have like a true north. I would like to say in that way, you know, like a target where we have to go. From my background and my understanding on the Ukrainian strengths, I think that we have to be very close to R&D centers. Or R&D center of the world, if you like to say that. And I fully agree with Edwin that, yes, we need to base our true north on our strengths. And I would like to underline that being in ICT, I mean IT and telecommunication, like 15 years, I'd like to say really, we are very high competitive in that market. But still, we, as Edwin started his presentation, we are still very strong in engineering. Yes, we have a very old type fashion, you know, knowledge in engineering. We need to obtain new software, especially for the engineering development. And also we have to understand how the 3D printing working and new kind of system working with the engineering, you know, prototyping and so on. But we have a very great background for engineering. It means that if we can combine, you know, new skills, that's exactly about that digital skills, which can be obtain or enforcing our background in engineering, it really gives us lift up to the R&D center, not to be just a service provisioning or service powerhouse, which we are great in the IT service provisioning, in the software side, in content side, but also in engineering and hardware part, where Ukraine can be very strong, just to adding more knowledge and adding basic things like infrastructure, like tools and devices to really obtain that knowledge and to really get that skills, not just for the students, but for the old-fashioned like from that side to say engineers, which we have on a very high level in the world.
Maybe if I may add to that, if you don't mind, if you look at the world of engineering today, it is one of the industry domains, but it's also one of the university and academics, faculties and domains, so to speak, that are really, really able to leverage digitalization, digital engineering, digital design and engineering in a digital way or from a digital point of view. There are many examples, for example, in the car industry where digital design and digital engineering in modeling platforms, digitalized 3D modeling platforms are able to create a new car, including crash tests. Volkswagen, for example, in the past had to produce, I think, a minimum of 32 or 35 real cars, which is a high cost for production. And they really have to crash it in order to measure, in order to create reports and to do analysis on the impact of a crash in order to eventually come up with a car that's going to be commercially in production because it has to be safe. Imagine only this with computing model, with augmented reality, virtual reality, digital designed, digitally engineered, and digitally provisioned with a platform that can simulate these crash tests based on data, collected physical data from physical crashes. In this scenario, an organization like Volkswagen is able to produce 5 physical cars instead of 30 something. These 5 also have to be crashed, but they are crashing to determine whether the digital version of the crash tests are compliant or not. It's not just so much of a lower cost, it's also a higher level of efficiency because designing, engineering, and crashing physically a car takes, I don't know how long, but digitally is just a mouse click. And I think after a bathroom break, when you're back, 35 cars or maybe 3,000 times a car digitally has crashed, and the data from that can be so much more leveraged than physically will ever be done. I think a clear example how, as Nadia says, Ukraine has a very strong background and footprint in engineering for, I don't know how, from day one that the world of engineering started. This element of digital is not something new, it's just the next wave, so to speak.
To live is to learn, to live is to move. What about lifelong learning? What do you think, Nadia? Should we stop? Should we learn? Or it's never-ending story? And what about skills? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, Alina. I think that all kind of 12 top trends has to be analyzed and learned constantly because probably the new trends are coming. So of course we are having currently in the digital economy 3 background technology. It's like a communication 5G technology, it's AI, artificial intelligence, and it's a cloud. Like that's 3 are bases. But of course, as Edwin already mentioned, that's and augmented reality, that's and new materials, that's and space technology, engineering, new technology, and so on. So what I would like just to say that we have to learn constantly to be competitive. We have to learn constantly to be to play the active role in the constantly changing environment. We have to learn because we would like to realize ourselves, and we also have to learn to be understandable by the new generation. So that's also very, very important. So from that point of view, I just would like to say that we have to understand that it has not been the a lot of certification and diploma is very popular for Ukraine. If you look on the map how many diplomas Ukrainians have, that's a tremendous amount. So we have the highest level of pieces of diplomas in the Central Eastern Europe. But that's not the level of competences and skills and popular level, not popular, but necessary level what we have to have. So in that case, I like very much our roundtable with Huawei, which we had with International Society of researchers and people like professor lecturers from the international universities who said very well from UK. He said that, guys, currently we are named at like a sandwich knowledge, which you can obtain within the 3 months. So you just need on the bread some kind of nice, tasty pieces of the new knowledge, which help you to drive a lot your challenges, which you are meeting currently to really realize your project or do your job or do your education project, for example. So just to summarize, yes, I think that we cannot stop in our learning. That's our human nature from one side, and that's our competitiveness in the current modern society from another one.
Edwin, what skills are critical for a successful journey in a digital world, interconnected and intellectual world?
What are some, I don't find that easy to answer, to be very honest. I think it really sits within each person themselves, to be honest. You know, and it also sits with how do you measure that, right? Success, for example. One of the questions in the chat box is, what is the new way of management in the world of digital? And Nadia mentioned a few. Empathy is one, is a skill set which you don't find much on a university degree, but I think for the managerial environment and the executive environment, for managing digital organizations or organizations in the digital journey. So that's one. Competency is another one, versus items. So I think I struggle with the question on how do you measure success, because that comes with definition first. And I'm not saying it like this because I don't want to answer or because I want to bypass or U-turn, but I really find this it's a tough one. From a journey point of view, there are a few steps which are of course very clear that if you don't take these steps, then you're probably bound to not reach a higher level of success, but you're ending up somewhere halfway, so to speak. It really sits with a top-down planning, a top-down approach, a wider set of people, stakeholders of all society, and bring them together and try to see if it helps and if you can come to a mutual understanding. Because the moment there is a mutual understanding, you're able to jointly go forward. But if there is a mutual understanding, you're also able to go forward yourself. Because within this understanding, it is from all for one and from one for all. And that contributes already to a speed of process, so to speak, that the journey is about. The journey is not about standing still. The journey is the motion itself already. So that would be a first. Another one would be to have this vision and to have a team of people and a team of, not so much a team of people, but to have capabilities and abilities to really drive it and to drive it throughout the value chain. And funding and financing, not so much budgeting and costing, but funding and financing is also a predominant one. Where and how are partnerships? One of the other questions in the chat box was about how public and private partnerships can obtain to go further. It really starts with this mutual understanding, as I just mentioned before, because from this mutual understanding, the private company needs to learn from the public organizations that it cannot be about profit if that drives the ambition of the public sector, because that driver is not fit at the table we are at right now for the discussion that we're having to create a mutual understanding, just like the other way around for the public sector, where perhaps there is a lack of budget. Then okay, as a public-private partnership, we're going to find the right funding for it. We're going to find investors. Maybe this initiative is so great that it maybe attracts foreign investors, if that's possible. Another idea could be, let's apply for funding. European Union, different business advisory councils, different forms of consortia and funding and financing institutions have, I was going to say have money available. That's not what I mean. Have an interest. They have an interest to co-invest and to participate and to be part of initiatives that will help move areas or nations higher up the value chain. Talk to them, involve them, make them part of the mutual understanding. I think those are clear items that if you don't have this at play at all when you start, then probably it doesn't make sense to take this first step that we talked about before.
Nadia, you are a role model of women empowerment, equality, inclusion, and sustainability. I know that you've done a lot in order to motivate girls and women to learn new skills, to go to the ICT area and stay there, be there, CEOs, board members, and make decisions. So it means empowerment. It's not only about new diplomas, as we said, it's about your power, your impact, your massive impact and involvement in decision making. Would you comment and bridge digital economy, women empowerment, and equality?
Very interesting question. So first of all, thanks for underlining that really last 10 years probably was spent with the community of women role models to increase popularity and interest from the women and girls side to the STEM skills and to the STEM occupation and professions. And why we have started that, because majority of our population expecting that IT just the developers, or ICT just the developers, or engineers, hard engineers to do everything with the physical abilities and a lot of hand working. But we try to demonstrate to all kind of society that digital economy and all kind of ICT world provide to any kind of part of society ability to realize their internal creativity, to realize themselves. Because if you have enough proper digital skills or capability, you really can create whatever you dreamed for, whatever you passionate for. It can be starting from music or from the painting and finishing, of course, software and hardware from the engineering side. But you can do whatever you would like. Just you have to understand that any kind of your dreams can realize through digital skills now, just if you have enough or high quality infrastructure from any part of the world. So in that case, of course, that pandemic world gives us a lot of opportunity to apply that knowledge. But if you didn't have that knowledge, it's very tough for you to understand how I can drive myself further. So in that case, I can make a parallel that the people who started before the pandemic, they really realized a lot of positive things within that period of time. And we can see that even McKinsey demonstrated within the some research that more than 30% of people who work from home would like to stay working from home even after a pandemic period of time. And majority of them are women, because it's very comfortable for them, do not lose the time for the travel and so on and so forth. So just to make the connection, I would like to say that knowing better what you would like, what you want, and to find the proper skills which you have to obtain to be visible and competitive in the digital economy, you can really connect both of them and to do the job which you really dream for all your life. That was not the case in non-digital world. Currently, it's possible. So that's why for any kind of people with any kind of limitation, which so all fully kind of inclusion can be really applied for the economy. It can be active part of economy. I can provide just a couple of examples. So we have one entrepreneur so I work a lot with startups, and one lady who I'm mentoring, she's there, she has a company which is doing a lot of design on the materials for the households. And the lady who is doing that design, they are particularly invalids. They're sitting in their homes and they previously didn't do anything. But currently they have a software specialized for designing that materials, and they are providing on the weekly basis that material. They are selling worldwide, starting from Canada and currently around the world. They are very nice creative materials. So they do creativity, then they produce use that on material way. And that's really very nice, possibility for that people to engage them to economy. In other cases, it's a startup of kids who creating the plastic shoes for special ages of teens from 9 years old until 15 years old, and they are producing that shoes on the 3D printing, and they have a production in Singapore, in Indonesia, and Philippines. But that's a startup from Ukraine. That's girls and boys who started their business at 9. So currently, they in average they are 14s, and they have already millions business, which is really they are proud for, and their relatives and parents are also proud for that. So there are a lot of possibility to really realize what you dream for, and any kind of society part can be engaged in that, just to believe in digital skills, believe in digital world, and try to obtain knowledge which can help and competence which can help realize your dreams in that world.
Yes, really. Technology, new technology empowers everyone. What do you think about this new way of using ICT for reaching United Nations Sustainable Goals? Edwin?
Oh, I think the only way to reach currently, and as we go forward, the only way to reach anything is always two options. You reach it physical, or you reach it digital. I think digital has proven to be economically more viable, socially more, and digitally more inclusive, and certainly from a sustainability point of view, more sustainable. So regarding the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, a couple of them directly relate to IT, to ICT, and to computing, and to digital infrastructures. So it's quite clear that also the United Nations have underlined that and sees it. So I think I'm making a very long answer of something that could also be very short. It is clear and it is key that the only way forward, the only sustainable way forward, and the only way forward that is most sustainable is a digital way.
I would like to ask several questions from our participants. What is the competitive advantage of Huawei? Edwin?
Well, let me start by saying that from a people point of view, we are nearly 200,000 people worldwide. That makes us a super large company. These people are all working in different business units, business departments, teams, product lines, and what have you. And each, I was going to say separate, but that's not what I mean. Each individual product line, each individual business department, each individual strategic business unit, each area or each domain of our activities have their own pluses and minuses and values and what have you. So it's not easy to give an answer in terms of who we are, where we are, and what are our advantages. But if we need to group it, if we need to sum it up, I said in my beginning of the Q&A, and ask me anything, that we are one of the few companies worldwide, I think we are even the only one worldwide, that is able to take more than 15% of our annual revenue year on year to invest back in innovation, research, and development. That is a tremendous percentage, and that allows us to leapfrog, that allows us to jump curves, that allows us to move forward faster and end up higher up the value chain in a much shorter time frame than if you look individually to very specific pieces of technology where intellectual property and patents and all that stuff sits, and where this innovation is leading to is quite wide. Leading devices where innovation in chipsets and innovation in very tiny pieces of technology in smartphones versus pieces of technology in very large supersized data centers that have the size of a building almost, or even a couple of buildings combined, and everything in between, are so well innovative and are so at the front end of developments that it already is a little bit ahead of its time at the moment it's being implemented. I think those are clear examples where you could say we have a lot of competitive advantages.
And where does the company expect to be in the next 3 or 5 years? So any comments about portfolio or solutions?
Well, from a portfolio point of view, I think it will be wider, but that's because technology evolves, not only in a deeper point of view, but also from a wider point of view. There's more pieces of technology that are complementary, that are being added to it, or that are not being invented yet today, or maybe they are in the brain of someone today somewhere, but it hasn't come out yet as a tangible and as a product to the field. But that will be available for us. That will be coming out. Technologies that are on a wider scale, where you could say an operating system that runs on your mobile phone moves from your mobile phone and goes into a car, for example. Imagine your car running on an operating system, and there is apps from an app store that you can download, just like on your smartphone, by going to an app store, and all of a sudden your car or the drivetrain of your car understands that it needs to apply so many brake power to the front, so many brake power to the left, so many horsepower to this and horsepower to that, but also the meters and the gauges and the display that you're looking at when you're holding a steering wheel, or for that matter, if you are on the passenger seat or in the back seat. And there is also screens for you in terms of, if you want to listen to music, the speedometer. Anyways, you get the idea. It's not the drivetrain anymore that determines the value of a car. It's its operating system and the availability of apps. And then further sideways, imagine that a building becomes a smart building. That's not a very strange thing to think about. But what is stranger is, what if this building also runs on an operating system that has apps, and these apps are able to implement electricity efficiency, energy efficiency of this building, and the distribution of this energy if this building is generating energy and can distribute that, or for a user having a shop in this building using applications that runs the shop, or you as a person who rents an apartment on the top floor or a condominium. So an operating system that runs a building. What about an operating system that runs our city management? So I can go on and on in this way, because it's wide as it is. Where do we expect to end up in 5 years from now? Higher in the value chain where we are, double in our revenue, because that's our internal target always. Within 5 to 7 years, we want to double our revenue. And currently we've been shown able to do that. And I expect that to still be ongoing, with a little headwind, with troubles ahead, just like always, but that's what a journey is about. You face trouble and you overcome them with passion.
How long will it take to finalize or to achieve the digital transformation goal? Or it's never-ending story?
Well, it is.
And then Edwin.
Sure.
You mean for Ukraine?
It's up to you how to answer. Digital transformation for the organization, the country, or any country, or the globe.
I think the limitation is only in our mindset. So I think that, deficit mindset has to be changed into the growth mindset. It means that as soon as we have new ideas, as soon as we still would like to realize our talents and our passions, so we will still create the new business models. As soon as we create the new business models, it means that we are developing the new steps in digital economy and further develop the transformation. So just would like to mention that when the people thinking that ICT is only, technology, or ICT knowledge is only technology, I can say that from the business side, from the economic side, especially if you are thinking about microeconomical part now. So it is, of course, the new business models which has to be developed under that digital economy transformation, or moving to the digital economy. And in that case, of course, we still have a lot to do with understanding how the digital laws working in the new area, how the data as the new resource will utilized by the companies, how the AI and what kind of role of artificial intelligence will be in working together with the employee and staff, how our teams can, work together with robotics and with the new kind of data summary and forecasting, which we're providing by the AI or machine learning. And a lot of questions which still are on the big research side. So I would say that, of course, I don't think that it's then ending stories. It's just a new transformation path. So as soon as we, for example, fully understand how we are working in the service powerhouse and the majority of industries move to that level. So of course we can go further into R&D centers or move further to the sub hub of innovations and so on. So any kind of new direction for us is just a realization of our new talents and new capabilities. So as more we developed our talents, I think the more possibilities and opportunities we can obtain and the more further development we will have.
Edwin, what would you like to add? And please answer to one more question. Can a very fast digital transformation negatively affect the company's development? Are there any difficulties in adapting the company to the new digital technology? Mm-hmm.
Quick answer to the last one. So what is the trouble with digital transformation? It's time. Time is not working with us. Time is not going fast enough. There are only 24 hours in a day, unfortunately. Even if we wind the clock up or if we speed up this time, there are still just only 24 hours in a day. So time is working against us. It's also working in our advantage, because the trouble with digital transformation, as I mentioned in the beginning, is that sometimes it's taken as a project. That means cool technology, it's great, let's implement it, let's do a project. And after the implementation, it leads to nothing. It makes technology looks good, ego marketing or making technology look sexy. Nothing wrong with making technology look sexy, but as an implementation of a program to help, for example, move a nation higher up the value chain, that should not be the way forward. So that's not the right way. I said before, technology should help us and allow us do better what we already do best. If technology doesn't allow us to do that or is not capable of doing that, then it's probably not cool technology to use. It's nice to have, it's interesting to show as what technology can do, but in real life we probably don't want to use it. So that would be the downside of it. Internally within our organization, where we are when it comes to digital transformation, since 2015 we have set with SET that we want to embark on a digital journey. We have to step away. As large as we are, we had about 100,000 people. We did about $60 billion global revenue. Mind you, this is 2015, and we wanted to double our revenue within 5 years. And the only way to do that is via digital. So we embarked on a digital journey, and the result of it, and you can see that in our 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 2019 annual reports, we were able to more than double our revenue, but not with the same amount of people. The amount of people that we were able to add were significantly lower. We still have more people coming in than going out. We still do a lot of money. We do $120 billion last year at least, and that is a tremendous amount of money. Our complete internal digital process, our complete internal processes are digitalized. We are as a non-digital native company, we have a complete digital twin of our business operations that allows us to do predictive analytics, that allows us to extrapolate, and that allows us to see that where, if we turn this gear this way and we turn that gear that way, where and how is the company developing and how do we anticipate for business continuity management? I think to a student in the economical university, business continuity management is a principle. If it's not your major or your minor, you might want to see if there's a summer class or winter class for it, because that is a core asset right now that you need, not only from a business economics point of view, but from a business management point of view. And Huawei is a very good example of it, because we are having a lot of headwind from different directions. So how do we deal with that? How do we overcome that? The principle is business continuity management. The only way to overlook it in a company as large as we are is having a digital twin of everything that it is that we do, having a digital twin of our business operations, being a digital organization. And that is where the two benefits sits, and they outpace the downside of it, if that answers. Alina?
Yeah, just shortly comment that Ukraine are very strong currently. Their foundations are strong, but the talent pool needs strengthening definitely. And in case that we are thinking about the digital transformation in business, that what we very often experience that people are looking to implement very high tech technology or some kind of very modern technology, but they are not thinking enough about what will be the return of that technology. So what will be the ROI, revenue of return? So when we, what is a business model, how we can earn money on that technology? What kind of business model will be based on that? What kind of new customers we can attract? And we are really far from the customers. So in case of wrong digital transformation, we are looking internally. We are looking into our processes, what we have to improve and so on, because we like that technology. But in a correct way of digital transformation, of course, we have to start from the customers, and we have to understand what for customers are ready to pay, and later on to build the proper business model which helps with all kind of digital new technology be implemented in our model to really have a high value return as for our customers, as for shareholders or management or employee who is engaging in that new business model.
Well, maybe as another note when it comes to education, if you look at how things have changed over the years, for example, a telephone, right? A simple telephone. I'm sure you all have seen pictures where this big black thing with a thing on top that you pick up. It has a twisted cord. It has a keypad. And now this is your communicator of choice. That's already a big change. If you look at means of transportation, at some point we didn't have cars. We had carriages with a horse in front of it. If you would ask people then what would you need, they would need faster horses. They didn't even think they wanted cars. But the first car that ever came to the road versus the one that is out today already is gone through a tremendous amount of change. So here's a challenge to you then. Think of a classroom. Think of a classroom 400 or 500 years ago. I'm sure you've seen pictures maybe from Michelangelo or anything or paintings or whatever. I'm sure you can imagine what that looks like, right? It's a person in front of other persons, 25, 30, 40 people in front of someone else. That's a classroom 200, 300, 400 years ago. Now imagine one 100 years ago, the classroom where your grandfather went to school. And now imagine your own classroom, maybe the one you're in right now, if you're in class. What has changed? Nothing has changed. It is still 25 seats, people on one side of the room, and there's a person in front of it trying to explain what needs to be done, what needs to be learned, and so on and so forth. Where the world of knowledge and knowledge sharing and knowledge transfer, which is what I think education is about, is so different from that setting. So the world of how knowledge is able to come to us and knowledge is able to be distributed from us, or knowledge from me to you or from you to others, and so on and so forth, are so tremendously changing that digital is able to do that. So answering the question of what is the need of change in the educational system, I think it is slightly ongoing. It's not going fast enough. The way we teach and the way we learn is as we've always done, but the way we absorb it, the way we embrace it, the way we distribute that, the way we share it, the way we archive it, the way we store it, the way it becomes available and accessible also for those who perhaps are unable to take the school bus physically, just and only because of digital, makes it more inclusive and allows digital to drive it even further. And what is the programs that we have in place? We have a number of programs for remote learning, digital inclusion, and providing platforms to bring knowledge, the distribution of knowledge, and teachers and professors and scholars and students and those who want to learn and embrace it together in one single go. And there's different programs that support that, including the technology that sits underneath that, if those who would like to embrace that can learn it. So we have a number of educational tracks for artificial intelligence, data center, computing, virtualization, networking, wireless and mobile, all these digital technologies, so to speak, that are needed as a baseline for students, scientists and researchers, but also for people who are working in this industry as an IT manager or a systems administrator or a computer engineer or a network engineer, to understand this and to embrace this. And we provide this knowledge in different training tracks and IT and ICT academies and labs, which we bring to universities. So you don't have to come to us, we come to you, or we link each other digitally. And those are examples on what we're trying to do to bridge this gap, because we have to bridge this gap together.
Edwin, so I just see that we have a lot of from our research community, on the line, and I see the Denis Lninsky and Mikola Skiba, who is also the specialist, especially in education.
I see this.
Yeah, and
I had the idea that after this particular session, we would log off from this one and we would log on again with another password even, to be more to be closer to each other. So I think I would say welcome to everybody, but I think this particular session here is regarding this webinar thing, and the more direct parts that relates to the research, I would say, is I think in another session. Is that correct, Alina?
Yes, and I would like to continue the Q&A session now for our participants. We have some questions left. For instance, the question about digital economy archetypes. And my question is the following. It's not only mine, actually. This is one of participants asked. What is the digital transformation path for Ukraine? What digital economy archetypes should be considered during this journey of digital transformation? Would you just briefly add some comments, Nadia, and maybe Edwin, you can add later. Thank you.
Yeah, I just would like to, of course, I think that my respected colleagues on the line also can comment a little bit. From my point of view, I think that we have a very non-balancing currently economy in our case. So we have a very high developed, ICT economy, like ICT industry in that case. And thanks to that industry, we are obtained that level as the service powerhouse. From another side, we have a very old-fashioned type of industrial economy. Interesting point is the like a service type of economy, which is mainly represented by SMB, and also the agro industry, which is really obtain a lot of new technologies, and as for their production, as for the services and further delivery and value chain development. So I would, from my point of view, of course, we have a very good fundamentals, as I already said. So we have set up quite a great, situation already. But still, we, as the people on the call today, they also mentioned that we have a very limited still resources in IT. A majority of companies are lacking, as well as government. Actually, the government state authorities are lacking of their high quality specialists. It demonstrates that even if our education system are, help for young people to develop and to obtain that new knowledge, so we are losing that people and that high specialist for other countries. So it means that urgently we need to create some kind of, from one side, upgrade of other educational paths and directions into the digital economy skills. From another side, we need to have a government state program or policy which can help us to, to capitalize on the knowledge of that people and to save that people in the country. For example, in Germany, there are two policies. From one side, by one hand, they're attracting the internationally high-skilled specialists in digital economy. From another side, they are changing their system to really promote and to support people who is engaging into the new type of education, into the digital would like to get that new digital skills. So in that case, they have even special program how to save that people in the country, how to provide them constantly job and guarantee for that job for the certain period of time. So that's a big discussion in the society has to be done. Honestly, because in that case, honestly, we have an unbalanced, paid for the education, and later on, so very low kind of and transparency to that site, but later our business and our government cannot pay enough money or competitive level of the money to that people to save that in the country. One of the reasons for that is also the level of our infrastructure and ecosystem in the country, because that's what we already mentioned before, that to work for normal business in the digital economy, we need to have a national infrastructure in a proper way built or in a proper way updated. That's a role of government. From another side, we need to have a proper proposal to the labor force market. But in that case, business have to make their digital transformation path. Without the digital infrastructure, they couldn't, it would be very tough for them, to invest into the digital infrastructure by themselves. So it means that there are a lot of connection between themselves. And I think that to summarize that, I would like to say that first of all, yes, we have a good background, but we are leaking, we have a leaking of high qualified specialists from the country. We have to do as soon as possible, upgrade of our education system from another side, not only ICT, but another side of our direction, and government policy, how to save that people in place. And later on, it will help also. So in parallel to that, it's the infrastructure upgrade. And with that point of view, we need to build in a proper way our public-private partnership, as already Edwin also mentioned that, to really help business to create the new model together with government, help government to attract capital to the upgrade of the business models. In that case, it will help us really to drive further our economy.
I would like to ask Edwin about smart cities. So what is a role of smart cities in this digital transformation journey? And is it about actually cities or something else?
Well, let's just start with the definition first, then the definition of a smart city, which is already an issue in itself, because the definition of smart is not that very clear. There are several definitions for smart. I'm sure if you find a dictionary that gives you an explanation or a definition of smart and you would apply it to a city, you would probably agree with me that a smart city does not exist. There is no such thing as a smart city by definition. But what there is the idea or the concept of a connected or an intelligent city, maybe a smart city. But let's not use smart, let's say intelligent or connected cities. There is the concept of connected cities. And within these cities, from a digital point of view, things run slightly more smooth. Things are slightly more visible to city managers, for example, and helping them with their daily operations of city management. There are networks of technologies working together as one. So if we have a connected city or an intelligent city, we are able to create a network of connected cities. And this network of connected cities perhaps creates an intelligent connected region, because that's what these cities are part of, like a province or a state, if you like, or maybe even a nation. So a network of connected cities combined creates a smart nation. And this smart nation, of course, is linked and connected to accompanying nations and nations that are alongside of it. So from a digital point of view, maybe the idea of connectivity, intelligent connectivity, an intelligent city, a connected city, is a platform. And yes, that is a technical platform. It has a lot of technologies doing that and creating it, but maybe it is also not technology. Maybe the idea of a connected city is perhaps also a principle of a platform, the principle of a platform that allows different programs and initiatives to be linked, to be integrated, and to work together as one, to help move, for example, a city or a part of a city or an initiative or a program in that city higher up the value chain in a shorter time, helping us do better what we already do best. The advantage of a smart or the advantage of a connected city is that information passes through such a city more easy. The livelihood of people is better guaranteed. Estonia, I think, is a very good example of not only an intelligent nation and a connected nation, but also where the element of digital or the component of a network of smart cities or connected cities creates that smart nation. That is that digital baseline. It is that platform that is linking, from a digital point of view, all the programs and initiatives that, in the example of Estonia, will help move Estonia higher up the value chain. It gives a better livelihood for their people. It gives a digital identity, so you don't need to leave home if you're unable to go to City Hall for renewal of driver's license, for example, or to vote, or to have an identity and have a residency. Because from a digital point of view, you are already connected, you are recognized, you have an identity, you have, well, you are someone, you are defined in a digital infrastructure, and that means you are included, not excluded. So what are advantages and disadvantages? Disadvantages maybe are that sometimes in a city, there is a piece of technology that's being used to help make that piece of technology look good. Again, there was budget for it. It is assigned. They created a project, and that was it. End of the project or end of the budget. Sometimes these are two different things. But end of the project and end of the budget, that was it. Nothing else, nothing left. It's not doing anything. We got connected lighting, yay, or we got smart parking, fantastic. That is not an example of an initiative in or for a smart city. So what is a disadvantage? The same disadvantages that we talked about before when it came to the disadvantages or the downside of digital transformation. Time is not working with us. It doesn't go fast enough. The programs and initiatives are not lined up nicely. The mutual understanding wasn't there at the start. There is nothing mutual. It's not a journey. So if these things are not right from the start, we are ending up on the wrong side of the pitch along the way. The good thing, although, I have to say about digital is that it's easier to circle back. It's easier to roll back. It's easier to go 2 steps back and then 5 steps forward, perhaps in another direction or in another way in the same direction. Anything physical would not allow it to do that. So I think these are a few things that we're able to say when it comes to intelligent and connected cities. So advantages and disadvantages of smart cities. A smart city is also a city that doesn't depend on technology, which means if the power fails for whatever reason, if electricity is out for whatever reason, and if there is not emergency power or uninterrupted power supplies, then of course it doesn't mean that then the intelligent city stops being intelligent. An intelligent city is also a city that is able to be a city as it always was and as it always will be, whether there is digital or not. And the last thing I would like to say about it is digital should also be provisioned in such a way that it doesn't matter who is in office. It is a baseline, it creates a foundation, and whoever is in office can ride the wave that is provisioned by such a digital baseline. It's not necessarily needed to elect someone, for example, or appoint someone to create something digital, and this particular individual has to be in office all the time, because if the person is not, then digital stops. That we have to be clear about that disconnect.
Nadia, the next question is about ICT education. Recently, Huawei, and as an example, is the following news. Huawei and Henley Business School announced a joint collaboration dedicated to developing and delivering an innovative digital leadership and talent development program for global telecom operators and enterprises customers. On another hand, Huawei in Ukraine has signed several memorandums and develops a lot of joint projects with universities. So would you please sum up an action plan, so to say, or your recommendations, what can be done together with universities and between universities in collaboration, what should be done in order to improve the ICT education? So the first question, what is ICT education and what can be done in Ukraine and maybe in collaboration with international institutions in order to make the digital journey successful?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I would also can invite, any of the scientists if they would like to comment, because I know that we have Mr. Skiba on the line, so I know he is a very skillful person in that area and can comment too. So please support me if you have also your opinion about that. Just shortly, I would like to say that so in ICT education, of course, we have to understand not just how to do the things, but first of all, on the top level, what kind of new trends we have, how they impacted on the different industry levels, and what is the role of different, participants on the economy in the particular trends or direction in that case. So, for example, we cannot, just to look into the information telecommunication as in a traditional way. We have to understand that in addition to communication, which is currently like a different kind of generation and data speed and the level of reliability and speed and type of data transmission, but also we have to understand that what does it mean, the cloud trends, the IML, and if we are just thinking about how we can improve the quality of our infrastructure, or how we can utilize, that our infrastructure, especially in 5G, we have to understand better the trends of IoT, Internet of Things, how the things are connecting into that network, and what kind of data they are transferring to us to be more productive and to utilize that also for our business purposes. Also, virtual reality and augmented reality is very important, to really use that in our current world, and also using the ICT knowledge, we have to understand how that data also transferring, but also to apply the new kind of services in that area, which is very important for us. So the blockchain is another industry, another technical trends in that area, which has to be understanding to better know how the asset management in new way can be done, how the current blood of the economy as the money and the digital money can move on, and how they are secured in the new way. And as the last but not at least at the end, but not the last one, is like a cybersecurity discussion. That's also very important to understand. So before moving further into the particular applications or particular industry, each of the person or each of the active player in the economy have to understand what is behind on that trends, really to better apply that, also better to reevaluate how it is impacting on their world, on their ecosystem, and also to play around themselves the new ecosystem of players, to play the new segments of the economy. For example, if you are also thinking about the different kind of company who is previously competing with one companies, and currently they are meeting another competition, so they have understand why this happened, and who is their new competitors, in which way they are attracting their customers and changing the behavior of their customers. So just to summarize all of that, I would like just to give one word to Nikolai Skiba, because I see his comment. Nikolai, probably you can comment that orally.
Just a moment, I switch.
I would like to introduce Mykola Skiba is an expert on education and trends in learnings and so to say lifelong learning and skills. He represents the Ukrainian Institute of the Future, and he is a member of the research group initiated by Huawei and conducted jointly with Kyiv National Economic University on digital economy, ICT impact on labor market, and competencies for the future. So, Mykola, would you please comment quickly about importance of human touch and mental health in the digital world, if you wish, and skills. So
Skills, yes.
yeah,
Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to collaborate within this project with Alina, Natalia, and great and all team of the Kyiv National Economic University is for me great experience. What about the questions about concerning the skill? Yes, really, the upskilling, reskilling in one of the crucial moment to adapting of the rapid changes because the circle of the technology is shorter and shorter every year, and as Edwin and Natalia mentioned it, every new generation of technology turn to the transformation of the business model, business process, and so way function of the staff. And one of the crucial skill in this circumstance is resilience, is adaptability, and all this moment. Connection with one crucial it about cultural, because it about the mindset. All this need the flexible mindset. It questions about new education is not only about skills. Skills very important. More than not only skills, but literacy, digital literacy is more than skill, but more than literacy is mindset, flexible mindset, readiness to the quick change of the tools, of the way how we processing with partner, with data, with landscape, secure the vision, long-term vision, and apply a flexible plan for every week, every day.
Thank you. Actually, Mykola, what a great conclusion of our today's discussion. Thank you, Mykola Skiba. Exactly. Our purpose today was to discuss how to find our own way in a digital journey in the interconnected and intellectual world. And it's our pleasure to sum up results of our discussion. This journey we arranged jointly with the Kyiv National Economic University and Huawei Ukraine, supported by the Digital Transformation Institute. And we discussed a lot of key aspects regarding the strategy of digital transformation for a person, organization, and a country. We also discussed how to develop our skills. And the most important, we discussed how to find your passion in a digital world. And I'm honored to thank our dear speakers and ask them to give some tips or share your wishes to participants of our really interactive and empowering webinar on the post-pandemic digital journey. Edwin, the Chief Transformation Officer, Huawei.
Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to having been part of this webinar. I really enjoyed it, and I also think there is a lot of common ground to walk on. It has great inputs to my learnings and to my understandings, and I really look forward to following that up, that's for sure. Earlier, you asked me what my motto was, and I said my grandfather used to say, we need to apply friction before things shine. And I made the analogy to an Ukrainian proverb that says something like, it is possible to dig a well with a teaspoon. I also mentioned that we shouldn't follow an American phrase that says just do it, because that's too easy, I would say. I would say find your passion and let's do it. And let's do it together. So if you're unable to find your passion, find passion together. If you have a passion, embrace it and move it forward. So let's do it. That would be my not, it's not a positive note. That would be my inspirational note. Let's do it.
Надія? Надія є?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, thanks a lot to being so proud and respected, team and ecosystem. I would like to say our small ecosystem for this morning. I'm happy that we have really the great discussion about digital economy, and I think it just started. To go further, I would say that of course we have to action needed by policymakers, business, and individuals in the next normal. So we are already in the next normal, and that we have to take into consideration. And in that case, I just would like to say that yes, from the point of where we now, if you're looking in the business model, we have to accept our good form and be proud a lot what has been done within the last 10 years. But we have to learn the models, research together with partners to develop further digital economy ecosystem together in partnership, and really to be visible on the map of digital economy, on worldwide map of the digital economy, because we have a great opportunity to be the great, not only in the service center and but also in R&D and the further engineering developing centers. And I think that find our active role in the new digital economy map, it means to find the really personal role for students, for private entrepreneurs, also for our policymakers. So what is their own role and what kind of activity they plan to apply to be really active player in the digital economy? Because who is the passive in that case? They just lose their reality, and they just not enough flexible and agile in the situation which is currently required that for us to be on our wave of changes and in our wave of competitiveness.
To learn is to live. To live is to learn. To live is to move. So enjoy your digital journey. Thank you very much for your attention. Дякуємо. До побачення. Good luck.